Hello and welcome to Show of the Week. I'm Mike.
Hi, and I'm Jane. This week I rediscovered my love for LA Noire, and then undiscovered it.
It's at the forefront of my thinking.
Looks like a sticky situation you found yourself in there, Jane.
Yes, it was.
Did you get that sinking feeling?
Yes, Mike, I did.
I bitumen not to fall in that tar pit.
Okay, that one barely works. What did you do this week?
I mainly just got bitten by this weird guy out the street. He looked kind of angry and sick and kind of hungry.
Yeah, that's real interesting, but I mean, what games did you play this week?
Well, in addition to my insatiable hunger, I've also had the inexplicable urge to play Dying Light, the new game from the brains behind Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide. As you can probably tell from this gameplay from the PC version, it's the same likeable B-movie schlock of a Dead Island game, but with a substantially higher budget. The fictional city of Haran is ground zero for a particularly nasty zombie outbreak, and you're a runner sent out by the handful of cowering survivors to parkour your way through the slums to retrieve crucial supplies, establish safe zones and set up traps.
Fuck, what's this?
During the day, it's relatively easy to avoid the zombies, but all that changes when the sun goes down. That's when the super gross, really mean volatiles are patrolling around. If one of them spots you, you better have a UV torch, an impressive escape plan, and a fresh pair of underwear to hand. The game's plenty ambitious, cramming in loads of different elements, including 4-player co-op, skill trees, weapon crafting, and a multiplayer game invasion mechanic similar to the one in Watch Dogs. Still, it's often these simple pleasures that are the best, like unlocking the ability to run around unnecessarily drop-kicking zombies. Missions are dished up in the tower, which is where the majority of friendly survivors are waiting out the apocalypse. There are little side quests that can be completed for extra cash, experience and items, but your immediate concern is finding Haran's own take on Colonel Kurtz, an unsavoury ex-politician called Rice, who is sitting on some vital but incomplete research on a cure for the outbreak.
And what do you offer in return? Your services? Your loyalty? Perhaps I should take both.
Probably inspired by Vass from Far Cry 3, Rice is designed as a charismatic dickbag, though the emphasis is definitely on the second part. Still, at least he's giving this guy a choice of which hand gets cut off.
Now I give you a choice. Very simple. Your right hand or your left? Left! Was that my left or your left?
Oh. Yeah, definitely at least 89% dickbag. Still, your player character is no angel either. Kyle Crane is secretly an operative for a shadowy organisation that doesn't always prioritise the best interests of the quarantine zone survivors. I mean, maybe just hide the vital supplies of medicine somewhere safe instead of torching the lot?
Jade, I'm at the airdrop. There's no antis in here.
Done?
Man, I hope this guy becomes more likeable later in the game. All this sounds like jolly good fun, right? Well, before you pitch a tent outside your local game store, be warned, in a case of not quite getting your homework finished in time, boxed copies of the game have been delayed by an unspecified amount of time in Europe. Though if your internet connection can handle it, the digital version will be on the Xbox store from January 30th. Until then, I think I need to take a lie down and shift this fever. Every time I see a roast chicken, I hallucinate that it's a human head. Weird.
Have you seen Mike? He says he was bitten by some weirdo.
Yeah, he does look greener than usual.
And he's eating all this raw bloody meat for lunch.
Oh, it's disgusting. In fact, it's so disgusting, you know what it reminds me of?
What?
Special Zombies, Jane, the video game zombies that are sometimes bigger, always badder, and inevitably more disgusting than the regular shambling undead. These are the 5 icky zombies most likely to make you lose your lunch. Volatiles are the things that go bump in the night in Dying Light. Actually, replace goes bump with pins you to the floor and murders you with prehensile mandibles in the night. So yeah, consider staying indoors after sundown if you don't want a closer look at that mouth. Ugh, it's Blade 2 all over again.
Ain't seen anything like this before. Jesus, don't let that stop you from smearing it all over yourself. They're changing. God!
Left 4 Dead's Boomer is gross enough to begin with its horrible burbling noises, swollen cysts, and worst of all, outy belly button. Grim. Then he goes and ups the ante by vomiting all over you, covering you with sticky green bile that makes every other zombie in the area come running. Plus, it's a nightmare to get out of delicate fabrics.
Holy shit! shit! That's one of the mutations!
I don't like this.
That thing is Hemlock's top priority.
The King Zombie from Dead Rising 3 effortlessly combines my two biggest fears, zombies and swarms of angry bees. Hey, you'd be angry too if bees had built a hive around your face. The King Zombie can vomit swarms of bees which enrage nearby regular zombies, making them much more aggressive. He also appears to be full of acid? Sure, why not? Crimson heads are what you get when you kill a regular zombie in Resident Evil HD Remaster and don't set its body on fire, you idiot. They have red, raw-looking skin, long sharp claws and terrible breath. The worst thing about these jerks is that any normal, slow, easily killed zombie is a potential Crimson Head. It says something about how gross these guys are when you find yourself wishing for one of these instead. The Divider from Dead Space 2 is the absolute worst. It starts out as a long, spindly necromorph, which, already, gross. Shoot it though and it disassembles into scuttling component parts. Imagine a Nosferatu vampire made out of spiders and you're on the right track. Get killed by its head component though and you get what might be the most gruesome death in the entire Dead Space series, and that's saying something. The Divider head will discard Isaac's rubbish old human head and take its place, jamming a couple of nerves into his spinal column so it can shamble around being gross with Isaac's body. Pretty glad I skipped lunch right now.
Well, that was gross, so thanks, Andy.
Now it's time to see what you've written in the comments and in the conditions of the will you wrote, bequeathing us your entire fortune and estate. That was generous of you.
It says you have to spend the night in a haunted house.
Spent loads of nights in haunted houses, no problem.
And that's why you're banned from Disney World.
Disney World, Florida. Never caught me in California.
Whatever. First up, your comments on last week's show in which I auditioned for the part of Halo 5 multiplayer announcer. You won the round, yeah! 18-year-old commenter Amazing Joe 96 said, seriously though, Jane should be the announcer for all Halo games ever. I would buy that so hard. Let's make this happen, yeah?
Sure. Meanwhile, one commenter comments on a comment in which a commenter suggests blending 3 Ubisoft properties into a single super game.
Far Cry Dogs.
Far Cry Dogs.
You heard it here first.
Jim Folman says, Far Cry plus Assassin's Creed plus Watch Dogs equals Watch Assassin's Cry.
Aw, so sad.
Rickma Madafacker, nice, suggests, or Assassin's Dog Cry.
Oh no, even sadder.
Wah. Next up, the comments on this video about video game geniuses killed by their own inventions. Sometimes it's an unlucky break for a well-meaning genius, sometimes it's a lethal dose of comeuppance for a hubristic boffin. Either way, these 7 suckers were killed by their own creations in a manner more ironic than Ray Yane on your wedding day.
Commenter Andrew Roth has an excellent suggestion to add. He says, Halo, the Forerunners. They, along with all sentient life in the galaxy, get wiped out by the Halo array, which they themselves created. That must have been a crap weekend for them.
That is the kind of thing that'll ruin a weekend. Maximilian Tay has a slightly more dubious entrant and says, since Darth Vader invented Luke Skywalker, then he got killed by his own invention.
Sure.
And sticking to the Star Wars-y theme, commenter Danger says, Oswell Spencer lies. That's the Sith Emperor.
The Wesker children were entrusted with endless potential. Of them, only one survived.
That is uncanny. Commenter Corpsepower concurs. Oswell E. Palpatine.
The Wesker children were entrusted with endless potential. Of them, only one survived.
Proof.
Finally, the comments on Assassin's Creed Unity's free DLC, Dead Kings, out now.
Ubisoft says, sorry, our bad for all the trouble with Assassin's Creed Unity with free DLC Dead Kings, which is available to download imminently. Commenter Teddy Walden, meanwhile, has an eye for a bargain and says, if it's free, it's good to me.
Then well-bred commenter Mr. Gentleman 490 asks, am I the only person who had little to no glitches in Unity?
To which Frederick Baudet says, this game is unplayable since I don't have it. Not having it is quite a bad glitch if you ask me. Vive la France!
Yeah, you think the testing team would have caught that one? What? What's that?
A Smite, probably. I told him not to eat all that raw bloody meat. That's it for Show of the Week. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, do hit the like button. And if you didn't like it, please sit on both your hands now.
Feel free to follow us on FaceFriend and friend us on Twitter Book if you want to get in touch.
Thanks for watching. Mike, you all right?
So I went to the doctor. Turns out I wasn't bitten by a zombie after all.
Oh, that's a relief.
Yeah, it was a harmless vampire.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Oh, for a walk in the bright sunshine. Good idea.